South Georgia is a sub-Antarctic island which is one of the most special places on Earth. It is home to millions of penguins, seals, and seabirds who all rely on the richness of the waters around the island. South Georgia lies 800 miles east-southeast of the Falkland Islands in the Southern Ocean. It holds the greatest concentration of seabirds on Earth due to its position near the Antarctic convergence, which also makes it an important feeding ground for whales. Michael Visoke is an award-winning artist who hails from Scotland. Michael has gathered a significant reputation for public and private sculpture. Michael's artwork, Commensalis, was selected from 150 international entries to design a new sculpture for South Georgia, to reinterpret the Flensing Plan at Grytviken Whaling Station as a place of hope. Through Commensalis, we have the chance to inspire the international community, both visitors to the South Georgia Island and beyond, to let them know that the work is going on to increase whale numbers and protect these oceans, and that they can play their part in it. Let's work together to make sure that the future for whales in the Southern Ocean is much brighter than the past.
If I apply for a commission, I feel I have to connect with the subject matter first. I think when I was younger, I probably just applied for things thinking, an idea might come, but now I have to really feel that I feel it, I suppose. And this particular commission really was that for me. And I was kind of fortunate because I struck upon this idea quite early on. I always think that's a kind of lucky thing. The site's really very interesting, and it has lots of rusty, patinated objects around. That's something that's crept into my work before. I kind of really responded to the colour of the site and the forms and the chaos of the site, because it is actually quite a chaotic site. I kind of like the idea of trying to unify that chaos somehow. And given that this was to be sited in the Flensing Plan, which is the large area in the centre of the whaling station, that's a particularly charged site, really. Quite a sad site. The title of the work, Commensalis, I've taken from the biological term commensal. This is a particular biological definition which defines a relationship between two organisms where both benefit and neither party are harmed, unlike, say, a parasitic relationship. Commensal is from Latin and means to eat at the same table. By using this in the title, I suppose I'm proposing this is how we ought to interact with nature and our environment. Perhaps we should all be at the same table. Quite early on in my research, I happened upon this idea the site's made up of lots of rivets, and that's what holds it together. But the rivets also resemble whale barnacles. And these are the barnacles that grow on the sides of the flanks and backs of whales. And certainly visually, formally, they're kind of similar. This gave me the idea of using the rivet as a unit whereby I could express numbers of whales taken and also numbers of whales recovered. I wanted something that sat low within the site so that it didn't interrupt the skyline of the site. It is a heritage area. I'm proposing placing 6 large round steel tables in this empty Flensing area, or the Flensing Plan as it was called, and I call them the spirit tables. The tables' diameters all vary, but are roughly between 5 and 7 meters in diameter, so pretty big. Each table will represent each of the whale species that were hunted and processed at the whaling station, at all the whaling stations in South Georgia. And I've hinted very subtly in the patterns of these rivets the natural history of each whale. So for instance, the humpback whale is known to blow spiral bubble nets to catch krill when they're feeding. So the humpback whale table will have a spiral configuration of rivets. On each table, there will be a section removed or a negative cut with no rivets, which will correspond to the numbers of that species butchered. And these bare sections will then correspond to a 7th table, which will act as a key to the work. On this key table, there'll be a nightingale chart displaying quite accurately in rivets again the exact numbers of each species of whale culled. I want visitors to feel contemplative about what's happened there, but also hopeful about the future. Reaching the island, walking around these tables, being struck probably by the sheer quantities of creatures that were persecuted, but also the amazing recovery of these species as well. So it's a very visual thing that hopefully will draw people into the story and hopefully capture their imagination and their hope.
By making a worldwide audience aware of the whale's story through Michael's artwork Commensalis, we hope to create a brighter future for whales and arrive at a better understanding of how we as humans are affecting their environment through such matters as climate change, plastic, and rising sea temperatures.